lawyer says legal process being abused in eviction cases. Formal announcement from UPNG on school fees. And ICCC reassures public on fuel prices.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining me. This is Thursday's news. A lawyer who has represented victims of eviction free of charge says the legal process is being abused and the victims are burdened by the high legal costs. Labour-based lawyer Seth Daniels has taken on several eviction cases in the last 6 years. He says it appears nobody really wants to stop the corruption in the National Housing Corporation, and he has called on the government to fast-track the handover of state titles to retired public servants and their families.
Over the last 6 years, Seth Daniels has been taking on cases of families affected by NHC-sponsored evictions free of charge. It's a decision he made long ago, and that's meant foregoing some of the revenue needed for a small law firm in Ley City.
We have to forget about costing and that, but it takes a lot out of us.
Seth Daniels says the justice system is flawed, and in many ways, those who don't have financial resources are the ones targeted by corrupt elements within the National Housing Corporation.
They don't have the money to afford lawyers. So a lot of them, if they can't afford a lawyer, they fell victim. They become victims of this. It looks like a syndicate between the National Housing Corporation and between those that are between the law enforcers. When they hold the title, they think that they can just go and throw out someone who has been on in the property for 20, 30, 40 years.
In nearly every eviction covered by MTV, a particular trend has been exposed. Families who don't have the money to fight long drawn-out battles are targeted. John and Lucy Benter's case is typical of the method used by the NHC, and also typical of the length of time it takes for the justice system to work. The Benter family was evicted from their nephew's home, and they've been living in a tent for a year now, waiting for the court hearings. Finding a suitable lawyer, preferably one willing to take on the case free of charge, is difficult. Seth Daniels says in his line of work he has found that documentation for lands and housing are in such disarray that the system is at the mercy of corrupt officials who can easily reproduce fake titles.
We found that some titles are actually fraud. And when that happens, it becomes messy, because when the guys who get a title have got all these plans and all this, they've spent lots of money and so on, then it becomes other issues as well.
When the matters do go to court, magistrates will rule based on the face value of the titles. If a tenant decides to pursue the matter, he can only do so in the National Court, not in the District Court. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Ley.
A couple facing arson charges are expected to appear before the Lorengau District Court in Manus tomorrow. 43-year-old Paul Puhu from Tango Village in Lorengau and wife 43-year-old Siwa Silas from Pobuna LLG are accused of setting fire to the house of another woman. Police alleges that on September 11 last year, the couple set fire to a semi-permanent house belonging to Michaela Porawa near Lorengau town. Police bail for the couple has been refused and both remain in police custody. Manus police have recaptured Louis Efi, the man convicted for the murder of an Iranian refugee Reza Barati. Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector David Yapu says Efi had escaped from Lorengau Correctional Centre on January 4th. Efi was serving his murder sentence of 3 years and 4 months when he escaped. Joshua Kaluvia, who was the other accomplice in Barati's murder case, who escaped last year, is still on the run. Meanwhile, the other 3 of the 6 inmates who had escaped from Lorengau jail on December 31 last year also remain at large. PPC Yapu has urged people in Manus to assist police to put them back behind bars. You're with National EMTV News. More stories after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The trial of the ill-fated Rabal Queen will reconvene in March. Lukara Rangan, who represented the state in this matter, has asked the court to have the trial moved to March to allow for state to mobilize resources for the trial. Presiding Judge Terence Higgins has approved the application and set the trial for March 5th for duration of 2 weeks. Captain Peter Sharp, his master Anthony Chow, and Kimbe branch manager Grace Amen will be responding to the charge of sending an unseaworthy ship to sea. Sharp and Chow have so far been acquitted of manslaughter charges last July following a no-case submission made by Sharp and Chow's lawyers. 5 police officers in Leh have been suspended following allegations that they were involved in the death of the man whose body was found opposite Leh Showground on Monday morning. Leh Police Boss Anthony Wagambi Jr. said the victim's relatives identified the unit and police are still investigating the death. They are calling on witnesses to assist with investigations.
Allegations of what have actually happened.
Leh's Metropolitan Commander Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi Jr. ordered the suspension of 5 officers accused of being involved in the man's death.
We had initially got some tip of that there was something like that happened from some people who didn't want to reveal their identity. But that was confirmed yesterday by the relatives. So
It is alleged that the officers picked up 3 men from the Kapiak Street in the Boundary Road area. On Monday morning, one of these men was found dead floating in the lake. Details of what happened between when they were picked up till when he was found is under investigation. The victim is identified to be from Sine Sine in the Chimbu province.
So as soon as we went back, I issued directives and members have been suspended from duties as of 1:30 yesterday. The vehicle they were using has been grounded and they're not in operations anymore. All the firearms have been withdrawn from them.
Mr. Wagambi has assured relatives of the victim and members of the general public that this matter will be dealt with.
And these sort of allegations only tarnishes it. So I want to assure the people, the public, that these are just a minority of people. Only 5 of them were involved, so allegedly involved, and they've been suspended and investigated. We are not.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
The Independent Consumer Competition Commission believes fuel prices will remain around the current levels. This is despite concerns raised by members of the public of impending increases in the coming months. ICCC Commissioner and CEO Paulus Ain, when addressing the media today, reassured the public that the ICCC would keep the recommended fuel retail prices within reasonable levels over the next 11 months.
This month, the ICCC announced fuel rates for January, which saw increases for petrol, diesel and kerosene. For diesel, the recommended retail price saw a significant increase, 22.64 toya to 3 kina 8 toya per litre in Port Moresby. This did not go down well with vehicle owners and especially PMV operators. Today, ICCC Commissioner and CEO Paulus Ain addressed the media in an effort to explain the reasons behind the fuel increases in January, especially for diesel. According to Mr. Ain, the prices were a combination of factors, which included world crude oil prices, foreign currency exchange rates, international shipping rates, domestic shipping rates, wholesale oil prices, retail oil prices, GST, and the recent excise on imported fuel products introduced by the government through the 2018 national budget.
The 13 toy excise duty would have adequately been absorbed in the final retail price if all the rates for the other cost factors decreased. Unfortunately, these factors were increasing, so the new excise duty had some impact in the final retail price.
The ICCC is of the view that these significant increases in January's fuel prices may be a one-off event, with projections that the world oil prices may start to stabilize around the $50 per barrel mark.
Throughout 2018, oil prices are predicted to hover around 50 to 60 per barrel. Given this situation, the retail price of petrol, diesel, kerosene are likely to continue increasing for a sustained period, but are likely to fluctuate.
As a result of increases in diesel prices in January, concerns had been raised by PMV and taxi operators over the prescribed approved fares by the ICCC, with calls made for the review in light of higher prices. However, the ICCC has explained that reviews of approved fares are done in a 5-year cycle. They have also asked for PMV operators to speak as one body in bringing their attention to the ICCC for consideration to any fare changes.
This process allows all PMV operators to provide the cost inputs into running the PMVs. And the benchmark that we use here is we take the fuel price for the last 12 months and factor this one. So the recovery is not immediate. It's a lag recovery. So like, for example, for 2016, recoveries are now factored into 2017. So they have seen slight increases.
One of Lae's oldest buildings in Top Town went down in flames early this morning. The cause of the fire is still unknown and the cost of damages is yet to be established. The building was built in the 1970s and was operating as a food bar when it burnt down.
This was the scene this morning in Lae's Top Town area. This building went up in flames between 2 and 6 o'clock this morning. Fire Station Commander Balkena says the fire was reported at around 4 a.m.
The entry door were all welded with steel, with metals. That makes our entry impossible.
They managed to contain the fire, preventing it from spreading to nearby buildings by 6 o'clock. This was one of Lae's oldest buildings, situated at the end of a line of shops built in the 1960s.
If it spread, the entire city will be under flame. Right across the Super Value and then down backwards.
It was operating as a food bar when it got burnt down. The cause of the fire and the cost of damage is yet to be established. There were no casualties reported. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
The University of Papua New Guinea Council today announced that the 2018 academic fees for this year have been changed to that of last year's. Parents and guardians will now have to pay 2,939 kina as compulsory fees for the main Waigani campus. The UPNG Council says the change in fee structure from 7,500 kina to 2,939 kina is under the condition that the government honours its commitment of 17 million kina to the institution.
The proposed fee of the 2018 academic year that was advertised was based on an NEC decision of 2013 to charge higher learning institution users 30,000 kina per year. UPNG's acting Vice-Chancellor Vincent Malaibe says UPNG has been very lenient to enforce this decision.
A student studying here must pay 120,000 kina. That's 30,000 kina per annum. Amounts to 4 years, 120,000. The council said it's unaffordable. Just allow them to go by one quota, which means that in 4 years you graduate, you'll pay only 30,000 kina, which is the price for 1 year. You are getting it for 4 years.
UPNG's Chancellor Dr. Nicholas Mann says parents and guardians must understand that it costs money to run an institution. He said the intention of the council to increase fees in 2018 was to move away from government's commitment to fund, which has not come to pass.
Over the years, we have noted that the budget for UPNG and other universities has been decreasing, and the government expects the universities to survive and to thrive. The core functions of the University of Papua New Guinea is teaching, learning, and research, and that is an area that cannot be compromised when it comes to standards. But we cannot compromise the standards, and for 10 years we have realized that the standards will have to be upheld. And so in doing so, the government, the university has taken this decision to actually increase the fee, to move away from the government's dilemma of saying that they will fund and then they're not able to fund. So,
nevertheless, Dr. Mann says the council has made the decision after discussions with the Department of Higher Education, PNG government and other parties involved in changing the 2018 academic year fees to that of last year's. This, he stressed, is under the condition that the national government honour its commitment to pay 17 million kina that was pledged to the institution in 2017.
The cost of goods and services have increased, but allocation by government has decreased. And if there is a decrease in allocation of government funds, you cannot expect the services to increase unless there is a source of funding that comes from outside of government. And basically, that's the dilemma that UPNG Council has held for a long time. And now,
Stacey Yallo, National MTV News.
Ministry for Education today held their dedication service to dedicate the academic year. Minister for Education Nick Kuman encouraged public servants to strive to deliver quality service to the Education Department and schools. Meanwhile, he also announced changes that will take place in the Education Department, one being grade 1 and 2 being a part of primary school.
Promoting honesty and faithfulness in the Ministry of Education was the theme for the 2018 dedication service.
It will be very tough, but the grace of God will see us through. Together we can make a difference.
The Ministry of Education staff said the national pledge, dedication prayer, and read the oath of loyalty.
Which may compromise my integrity, and in which my presence may bring.
Education Secretary Uke Kombra said the dedication service program began in 2016 and has become a tradition to be held every year.
This is the third year of us having this practice in the Ministry of Education, where we have taken the time off to dedicate the whole academic year, the whole education system, including our minister, our schools, everyone in the whole education system to God.
Education Minister Nick Kuman urged officers to strive to deliver quality education services.
Where we are now challenged with is the delivery of quality education outcome. This is the challenge. And I encourage all of us in the sector to think proactively and work within the budget to ensure that we deliver quality education in 2018 and onwards.
While the academic year has begun for teachers and as students resume classes next week, the minister had a stern warning for schools not to charge project fees.
The positions of the government is clear, and it's up to the provincial government. They are our agencies in the provinces. They manage the education for the national government, and the provincial government and the provincial education board, they are responsible to police those things, those policies. And the position of the national government is that when we are paying the school fees for the parents, and we impose a total ban, the ban remains.
He also said that last year's final TFF funding will be paid, followed by 75% of the funds for the first quarter of 2018.
All outstandings, in as far as TFF is concerned, we paid everything that we need to pay, except the last part of last quarter of last year. There were some payments, and there's a little bit of money that we need to pay, and this will then offset all the outstandings that we had for last year. But beginning of this year, we'll release some money by the end of next week. The funds will go to all the schools.
Meanwhile, the minister also announced a 200 million kina quality education funding to improve the standard of education. Under the rollout, the education structure is expected to change, with grade 1 and 2 joining primary school. Primary school will go to grade 6, and 7, 8, 9, 10 will be upper primary, and 11 and 12 being high school. And that's not the only change. The grade 8 and 10 examination will also be removed. If not removed, the exam will be taken by students, but not to filter the students, as the minister wants all 2.1 million students to complete 13 years of schooling.
Delivering quality education to the country. So we have a 5-year plan which starts in 2019, and it will, and we want to make sure that we give strength to every aspect of those program that we're going to undertake. And at the end of the day, we want to see that the TFF policy, it works at the end. A lot of students come to the school, and we deliver quality education.
Adelaide Sirokskari, National MTV News.
This is Thursday's news. We'll have more of today's stories after these short messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Teachers in Madang have been queuing up in front of the Education Office for at least 2 weeks now to get word on their postings. A grade 8 teacher from Bao Primary School told EMTV more than 100 teachers are displaced. Wetarebo says they have already gone past the resumption date. He says many of them were not given any positions in the schools.
This is what it looks like in front of the Education Office in Madang. Teachers are waiting to know where their next posting is. Wetarebo has been teaching for 5 years now. He is a grade 8 teacher in Bao Primary School. He says he has not been given a teaching posting.
What the authorities said were to make the review after 2 weeks, but that has not been guaranteed to many of the teachers. So we're just standing around. Like myself, I've not given a posting.
According to these teachers, the posting should be out before teachers resume. However, today they are still waiting.
Teachers are waiting for almost more than 1 week now. Like the resumption date was last week Monday. That's 22 or 23. But like there's some of the teachers here standing, maybe some in front of the office, waiting for their response.
While I was trying to interview teachers on camera, some teachers told me they were told not to speak to the media. They say they may lose their job if they talk to the media. Some had to tell me off camera they have no posting. They say they were only advised that the new posting list will come out on the 15th of February. Meanwhile, this teacher who was willing to talk on camera was on record airing his concerns when a female officer working in the education department approached him. She questioned the teacher, saying what right he has of talking to media. The officer then told him teachers' concerns must be raised by responsible authority. Meanwhile, a number of attempts made via phone calls to reach the Provincial Education Director Moses Sariki for comments were unsuccessful. Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Madang.
Morebe's Provincial Division of Education launched the Teaching and Learning Materials, a component of tuition fee-free policy, in Leh today. The materials include exercise books, a world globe and sports equipment. They come in 3 sets: students, classroom and the school. Distribution began today.
These materials placed on this table are sets for grade 12. 6 containers of the materials are ready to be distributed to schools. This container holds materials for primary schools in Kabum district. The materials are packed according to the student data for 2015. The distribution of these materials started today in Leh after they were launched by the Provincial Program Advisor for Morbe, Keith Jiram.
The data was based on the 2015, 16-17, but it's not a problem to us. We'll make sure that the schools that are missed out, we take care of them. As well.
These are school basic materials and do not include textbooks. The materials are funded by the PNG government as part of the tuition fee-free education policy. Morbe's Education Division has given the logistic company 30 days to deliver the materials to all schools in Morbe. Primary and secondary schools will receive the materials. Elementary schools will get the materials from the primary feeder schools.
I must thank the department for the efforts getting containers out here. I must thank Tokiwa and the LD Logistics. We make commitment and we continue to make commitment. We will make sure that education service and education programs are delivered in Morbe.
Bulolo and Makam districts will receive the materials after Leh's distribution.
The inspectors and the provincial material officer to make sure that the materials are distributed in a timely manner, and we'll be taking a stock take of what's going on and report directly to our PA. And the PA will report directly to the
And when the materials arrive in the school, distribution must be transparent. They must not keep the materials in the office or whatever. They have to distribute to the students so that the students will start using the material immediately.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
Two leading cash crops in the agriculture sector are under threat. Agriculture Minister Benny Allen confirmed reports of the impacts caused by the presence of the coconut rhinoceros beetle identified by the department. Experts say it is likely the beetle can have severe effects on other cash crops or food sources.
According to concerned authorities, the coconut rhinoceros beetle could cause severe damage to the oil palm and coconut industries. The Agriculture Minister says the beetle was originally discovered in Guam but has slowly spread across the Pacific. Minister Allen says the agriculture sector will do its best to minimize its effects by using preventive measures.
We are very concerned that this threat is there, so we need to act quickly to try and address so that we contain the spread of that disease or virus into the oil palm industry.
New Britain palm oil representatives say plantations in the Solomon Islands have been affected and government intervention must be quick before plantations around the country suffer the same fate.
I'd also say that the beetle also spreads, and it tends to spread from port to port, possibly catching a lift on ships. So even though we've identified it from Moresby in Central Province, the rest of the country is also very vulnerable from the beetle as it could potentially spread from port to port.
The coconut rhino beetle is less than 5 centimeters in length but can have significant negative impact on a country's economy. According to the Agriculture Department, palm oil, coffee and copra are the leading cash crops generating revenue for the country apart from the oil and gas sector. NBPOL has come on board from the private sector to back the Agriculture Department for a submission to Cabinet for resourcing of financial support in containing the coconut rhino beetle.
Which we believe that we can. We have the technical expertise, we have the scientists, we have all the research facilities to do that. We are happy, and we are proposing to the government and to the Ministry and to the Department of Agriculture if we can do this under a public-private partnership.
Reports have shown that the coconut rhino beetle is already in the Central Province and is likely to spread to Milne Bay, Oro or Morobe. Minister Allen says the case is urgent and NEC will be tasked to quickly respond. Jack Lopave Jr., National EMTV News.
While threats to oil palm and coconut arise, authorities are also monitoring the coffee berry borer situation in the country. The Agriculture Minister says border posts between Eastern Highlands and Jiwaka are using preventive measures headed by the Coffee Industry Corporation. Over 5 million kina has been spent on the exercise to stop the spread of the coffee berry borer.
So they've managed to control the spread into other provinces. So they've done very well. And at the moment, it's just within Jiwaka and Eastern Highlands. Eastern Highlands, not all area. It's in Asaro, Goroka, and Ungaibena, part of Ungaibena.
4 young people from Papua New Guinea will travel to the United Nations headquarters in New York next week to attend the Economic and Social Council Youth Forum. The forum is an annual platform through which youth from member states contribute to policy discussions at the United Nations.
All 4 selected youth representatives have already been changing the respective communities by actively implementing activities for the betterment of the people and of the nation. One of the representatives, Milton Kasapai, has been implementing education sessions on the SDGs through sports, including in the remote areas of the country in partnership with PNG Olympic Committee.
Climate change is one of those important burning issues right now because of the communities that are facing climate change and all that. But there are other issues as well that are also affecting our people, and which I believe that the government should address all of these issues.
During the forum, the participants will take part in brainstorming sessions, interactive speaker panels, and discussion with member states on the theme, the role of youth in building sustainable urban and rural communities. Imad Shaligram, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea is concluding a successful series of engagements at the World Economic Forum this week in Davos, Switzerland. As chair and host to APEC, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, being the first Prime Minister in PNG history to be invited to the forum, said he is satisfied with the discussions where political leaders from a diverse range of countries met with development finance and non-government organization executives to ensure economic development increases and is inclusive. The morning's meetings involved discussion with former United States Vice President Al Gore and senior ministers of various APEC member countries. O'Neill said globalization is a reality and Papua New Guinea will take advantage of the opportunities that are evolving through the global economy. The meeting is expected to have positive outcomes in improving trade, investment and job creation. You're watching National EMTV News. Don't go away. We have Jukai Sports coming up next. Stay tuned.
Jukai Sports.
Welcome to Jukai Sports. Updates on the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup. PNG Under-19 Garmuts have lost all 3 matches against India, Australia and West Indies in their Pool B matches, but are now in the plate finals. While competition leaders like Pakistan, Australia, India and West Indies advanced to play for the #1 spot, PNG settled for the plate playoff. They have already faced Canada and lost by 80 runs. Canada is now set for the plate semi-final. Nevertheless, PNG has one more chance to make it to the plate grand final, given that they redeem themselves in their next match against Ireland. Like PNG, Ireland started out in a pool dominated by cricket greats Sri Lanka, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Coming out sore from losing all of their pool matches as well, Ireland now looks to take out PNG in what would be an equal playing ground this time. PNG for now remains optimistic while they await the deciding match due in a few hours. With exactly 130 days to go before the FIFA World Cup kicks off in Russia, 32 nations across 4 confederations are counting down to this world tournament. And being one of the oldest and largest world tournaments that never fails to hold the world under its spell, this edition will be no different.
The FIFA World Cup was first played in 1930 in Uruguay. Hosting duties were given to Uruguay, having won 2 gold medals consecutively in 1924 and 1928. Being at its infant stage, the initial 13 teams contested upon invite. 3 editions later, in 1942, the World War II disrupted the tournament's continuity. Post-war came with its challenges, and 12 years on, the World Tournament picked up again. And now, over 6 decades later and 15 editions of this event since World War II, this tournament has gone global with 32 teams contesting this year. 5-time champion Brazil hold the highest number of wins, while Germany and Italy won 4 titles each. Inaugural winner Uruguay has 2 titles to the name, likewise for Argentina. England, France and Spain made a name in the later years, having won 1 title each. And as a precursor to this pinnacle of world football, the FIFA World Cup Trophy Tour is touring 50 countries across 6 continents at the moment. It will be here in Papua New Guinea in 10 days' time, and fans and followers of the sport will catch a glimpse of the prize the 2018 FIFA World Cup winner will acquire. Dinero Srako, National EMTV Sports.
PNG Swimming Inc. has endorsed 5 potential swimmers currently training in respective cities in Australia for the Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast in April this year. Our 2015 Pacific Games champions Sam Sagers, Ryan Masklin and Ashley Sito will be joined by lay-based swimmers Leonard Kalate and Josh Tarere. PNG Swimming Inc. is hoping all 5 swimmers will qualify. The Commonwealth Games is 2 months and 7 days away, with the opening ceremony to be held at the Metricon Stadium. Jukai Sports continues after the break. Don't go away.
Jukai Sports.
Welcome back to Jukai Sports. To tennis, and Caroline Wozniacki has moved a step closer to her first Grand Slam title. She has beaten her opponent at the Australian Open to qualify for the women's final on Saturday.
6-year-old veteran romped into the semi-finals after beating Tomas Berdych in straight sets to book his place for the 14th time in his career.
He's done it, and Roger Federer keeps his impeccable record here in quarterfinals at the Australian Open.
Yes, the Swiss maestro now faces Korean Hyeon Chung, who earlier beat American Tennys Sandgren to become the first South Korean to qualify for a Grand Slam semi. Although Federer did have something to admit about the 21-year-old.
I haven't really seen him play that much, to be quite honest, for some reason. I don't know why, where he's been playing and where I've been playing. Well, I don't play so much, so there you have it. That's my bad. But no, he's incredibly impressive.
In the men's doubles, Kiwi hopeful Marcus Daniel has failed to make it past the quarterfinals, while world number one Simona Halep has continued her domination in the women's draw.
And Halep in ominous form.
The Romanian sets up a mouth-watering semi-final clash with Angelique Kerber.
And to golf, well, it's tough to be under the radar when your name is Tiger Woods, but that's what the world's former number one is trying to do ahead of the US PGA Tour in a year.
Torrey Pines was once described as Tiger Woods' personal playground, and he's hoping to make it his happy hunting ground again.
No more pain in my back. My back is fused.
After recovering from his fourth back surgery, the former world number one's back competing with the big boys again.
I just want to start playing on the tour and get into a rhythm of playing a schedule again. I haven't done that in such a long time, so I don't know what to expect.
It's been a year since he's played a full field tournament, the 42-year-old slipping down the rankings to 647th in the world.
When I came back off my ACL injury in 08 and started playing 09, it was 9 months, but I had been playing a full schedule prior to that. Here I haven't played a full schedule since 2015.
He's returning to the scene of his US Open win in 2008, the last of his 14 majors.
I don't know what the number's going to be. I'm usually pretty good at calling the number before the tournament starts, but I haven't seen a lot of these young guys play.
It seems everyone has an opinion on Tiger's comeback. Former coach Hank Haney thinks his old pupil still has what it takes, predicting a top 10 finish this weekend. Four-time major winner Rory McIlroy has no doubt Woods can stun the world again. But Masters champion Sergio Garcia's not confident, questioning Woods' ageing body. The Spaniard will need to get used to seeing his old sparring partner again.
I'm looking forward to playing a full schedule and getting ready for the Masters.
Woods' return to Augusta National is still 3 months away. We'll see if he can master Torrey Pines when he tees off tomorrow.
And that's it for Jukai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Jukai Sports. Jukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. With doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow: in the southern region, a shower or two in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerema, and rain with thunderstorms in Alotau and Popondetta. In the Momase region, showers in Lae and Wau, and rain and thunderstorms in Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, rain showers and thunderstorms in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe, and some showers in Buka. And in the Highlands region, rain showers can be expected across the region.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. With doing with Dulux.
And that ends National EMTV News this Thursday, the 25th of January 2018. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.